What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 91 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms or playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to Brett on the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter and TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is October 8th or 7th, depending on when we actually decide to post this. I'm your host, Dan Lima, and I'm joined as always by my co host, Mr. Louis Menchaca.
You know, Dan, I forgot to start the gameplay again.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and do that while I tell our listeners real quick that we are recording early this week. It is currently Wednesday night. And we're thinking about, we haven't decided yet whether we're going to drop this episode on Friday like usual, or whether we're going to drop it on Thursday instead. It's probably going to be a shorter episode too, because, Louis and I have busy schedules this week, and I in particular couldn't record in our usual time, so we kind of had to move things around a little bit. But we still got an episode for you guys. As typical, we don't miss any week ever. So I hope you guys enjoy it, even if it ends up being a little bit shorter, maybe without a lot of segments and etc. And please look forward to probably a longer and more thorough episode next week.
Yes, and also for people in the chat or people that are watching, you guys, of course, I have the game Smash Melee in the background like usual. And this time around, oh look, Luigi took the first stock. I have a classic matchup: Mario versus Luigi.
Oh,
99
we'll see how that
stocks.
goes.
And if I were a betting man going off of the tier list, I'm picking Luigi for this.
I would go for Luigi as well. I just like Luigi as a character a little bit more. But we got plenty to talk about in terms of Smash Brothers and Smash Brothers like fighters. And why don't we start with a new competitor joining the scene? A new challenger has finally arrived to compete against Smash Brothers in Nickelodeon All Stars. Lewis, take us away.
As I played the sound effect, Mario taunted in the background. I'm like, what a bitch. Anyways, so yeah, I told Dan to leave impressions to like talk. We're gonna do impressions for Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. But here's the thing, I don't have any impressions, but I have
Oh
a lot to talk
no.
about. I have a lot
Okay.
to say. All right, here's the thing. Number one, I went to a store. I went to Best Buy. I went to Walmart. I went to was it Best Buy, Walmart, and GameStop. Nobody had Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It came out on Tuesday. The release date's for today, and they're like, no, our system has the release date for Friday. And all of them told me the exact same shit. All the stores told me this, like, oh, our systems have it for Friday. And then what ended up happening was apparently it only comes out digitally on Tuesday, and Friday is
Oh.
the physical release.
So you didn't get the chance to actually play it.
No, I
You
actually went
just
ahead and
try to play it, but
so I went ahead and bought it digitally, like on the Switch.
okay,
Like
okay,
a
as
very
one
at the.
does.
It was the last thing I did before I went to sleep. I was like, oh, let me just download this game and buy it real quick. So I didn't. I was going to go to sleep anyways, so I just let it download overnight. And since recording a day early, we're not. I could have had it impressions for you if we recorded at our usual time. So, but I did. Here's what I did do. I watched a lot of coverage of
Mhm.
Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. Like, and I mean, like a lot of competitors and a lot of like, you know, video breakdowns. I've seen like analysis of like frame rates on the Switch and everything like that. I have a lot. Like, I know a lot of things going on. So not having like have my hands on the game itself, like I have a good feel for how the game should play because all the trailer footage that you had like our promotional material, these are played by like playtesters and the developers. They're trash, okay? But like actually putting this game in the hands of an actual like Smash player who knows what the fuck they're doing is just like a thing of beauty. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I get to see a little bit more like how it should like look like. So I have some thoughts here. Okay, so let me just say that there's been the developers have been doing a lot of interviews with actual Smash Pro players, and they've been doing a lot of like crazy like a lot of crazy talk like that you would just never hear from Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like they support the mod scene. They're gonna support tournaments. They're not gonna shut anyone down. And I'm like, holy shit. And then they're talking about, oh
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. They're saying a lot of good things. I'm like, this is awesome. This is what we've been wanting. You know. And then on top of that, they said, what do you call it? damn it, what was I gonna say? There was a lot more. Oh yeah, they made a comment about how broken the game is. Okay, this game has a lot of like tactics, a lot of grimy ass tactics that are just like busted as far as like metagame and stuff like that. And then they're like the developers like, we don't care, just have fun, just do
Mhm.
make do with what you want to do, like make it happen or whatever. Like that's kind of interesting because
Do you
there,
think it's going to become one of those house rules kind of games where you go like my house, my rules over here, we don't do this, like,
yeah,
don't spam attacks, don't
exactly.
use that thing or whatever. Yeah.
There's a possibility. I mean, as far as like there already are rules about like infinites and like Smash, like melee and stuff like that, that are illegal to do and stuff like that. So one of the first things one particular Smash Pro player did is he put a tier list of all the characters that he thinks that are like the best characters in the game and all that stuff. And he talked about how Sandy Cheeks from SpongeBob SquarePants, she might be the best character in the whole game because she has an infinite that's unescapable, and
Mm.
she can zero to death you from a jab. And a jab
Hmm.
is very easy to do. You just press A.
Hmm.
And so what ended up happening was everyone was thinking, oh my god, she's busted. She's broken. She's like the Meta Knight of this game or whatever. Turns out every character has an infinite. And so what ended up
Mm.
happening was a different YouTube channel. Like again, I'm watching a lot of coverage. A different YouTube channel found out the underlying issue of what caused that infinite, and it extrapolated it to the rest of the cast and figured out that everybody has an infinite if you know how it happens.
Right. If you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, what happens is if you jab somebody and you knock them over, if you do not tech the that knockdown, anytime you get hit with a low impact move, you will never be able to tech. You're in an untechable situation,
Mm.
and that's people are speculating that it's a glitch. There's no way that that can be made done on purpose. And untechables are like the worst because you're basically in a position where you can't do anything defensive, and so therefore, when you're in an untechable situation, if you get their next jab in, you're gonna be done. You're just gonna be spamming jabs, jab locking them until they're at high percentage, and then you kill them.
Hmm.
And so every character has jab locks, and it's interesting. And I haven't tried it, and it doesn't look that as hard. It's not that hard to perform. I do jab locks and Smash all the time. So
Do you think that that's just in quotes that's just a symptom of developers that are perhaps new to making this kind of game, putting out the same game and sorry, the first game in this new franchise, and just kind of making some mistakes along the way, and that maybe the whole like, oh, it is what it is just a way to kind of put a wall like between them and the audience right now, but they're actually like behind the scenes, they're like, all right, let's figure out a way to fix it, and that
yeah,
we're
that's what I'm
probably going
saying.
to see updates.
I think they
Yeah.
are lamp shading. I think it's really
Hmm.
interesting where like the guy can put on a facade. He's like, who we know it's busted, but you guys can have fun with it. Like the way he was spinning it was actually
Hmm.
kind of endearing, right? It was like, it gave me that thumbs
Hmm.
up. Like he was like, yeah, we don't care. It's day one. You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean? Like it
Yeah,
makes it
that's what I
sound
mean. It's like, yeah.
like they're gonna patch it later on. But these infinites, like I really do think it's a glitch because why is it
Hmm.
like a situation where something like that is stored in memory, where if you miss a tech, you're punished later on for it. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
It's like a really weird glitch thing, but it's easily fixable. You just gotta if you press the grab button, you can restore your ability to tech a move. So even if you whiff a
Yeah.
grab, it's like so it's like you gotta think you gotta think these things through kind of thing. But it's really interesting, and I think just by looking at the tier list, and I don't go by tier list, by the way. I go by like I like to when I pick a character, I usually pick my spirit animal, right? And
Hmm.
just I already had an idea. I had two candidates who I wanted to be my mains, right? I wanted SpongeBob and I wanted Aang from Avatar. Or actually, no, I take that back. I wanted three. I wanted either Aang, SpongeBob, or Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and like those are my three what do you call it picks for possible
Yeah.
mains. And
Hmm.
so it just so happens that Aang is a high tier character, and I'm like, perfect. I'm an Aang main, so there we go.
All right. So I look forward to hearing your actual thoughts once you've actually played the game, probably on the next episode. And I'm playing something as well, although I haven't played in a while. I actually haven't played anything this last week because I didn't have time. But before I stop playing stuff, I've been trying to go through Psychonauts, the first one, so that
Interesting.
I can go and play Psychonauts 2 and know what's going on. But I'm just gonna say that the game is decently good. I mean, it feels it feels old. It is an old game. It feels like playing one of those N64 platformers, basically. In this case, it was an Xbox platformer, but it's fun enough, and I feel like it holds up enough to where if you grew up during that time frame and you can put your mind back to like being in that position, you can enjoy it. Maybe a younger player with newer kind of expectations, somebody that grew up with Uncharted and everything else, like Minecraft and stuff, might not enjoy it as much. But I'm being able to enjoy it, and I'll also hopefully be able to talk more about it next week.
Okay.
Um,
I'm
Louis, I
assuming that
kind of
you
yep.
played it on Game Pass and everything.
Yep. It's available on Game Pass. I played it on my Xbox Series X, and everything good on that front. Pretty fun so far. Fun mechanics. It's a pretty creative
My
video game.
only question is, does it play like its age?
Um, I think it plays like old 3D platformers used to play, pretty much. Like I don't know if you can picture what that means. You know, think Crash Bandicoot, think uh, Mario 64, think Banjo
So,
Kazooie. Like
so it
that's
looks
what
like
it.
a fresh
Yeah,
coat of paint, but it plays like an old game. Like it
yeah.
looks new, but it's deceiving
Well,
you.
no, I'm talking about Psychonauts 1, so it looks old because it is old.
Ah,
Yeah.
I thought Psychonauts 1 would have gotten that 4K HDR like Halo Master Chief Collection treatment.
It was not remastered. It is like upscaled,
Hmm.
but it still looks like, you know what it looks like? I got a great comparison for you. Playing this game is like playing Mario 64 in the Switch port.
Hmm.
That's what it's like. But anyway, I'll talk more about that next week. I just kind of want to move on with the show now and get into our topics of discussion. There we go.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to find these
um,
things.
yeah, that's fine. Audio listeners don't even notice the difference because we just trim out all the silence. The video people are gonna have to be patient. Well, we finally got the announcement of the final character to come to Smash Brothers Ultimate. Masahiro Sakurai did the presentation himself on October 5th, which was yesterday, Tuesday. And the final character is Walu Sora from Kingdom Hearts.
I like how
Um,
you just messed with me on that one.
Louis, what did you think of this announcement?
Yeah, so obviously I covered the announcement.
Sorry, I just wanna start the fact that I just want to point out the fact that your immediate reaction was, eh.
No,
All
it's
right,
not.
go
That's
ahead.
not the case. Like I was just thinking, like to myself, I was like, oh yeah, I got the article
Hmm.
here on screen. It's the from Level One Gaming. I was the one who wrote the article. I covered it. Yours truly did a very good recap of the whole direct presentation or whatever. So here's the thing. And this was I kind of sort of saw this coming because there was a leak that came out like just days leading up to the event. Um, and I never watched the leak. I never read the leaks or whatever like that. I read the leaks after the fact, but they were right.
Hmm.
But what was really pissed me off is that the thumbnails, like I didn't even get to avoid it. Like the thumbnails had
Mm.
Sora's silhouette, and I recognized who that silhouette belongs to. So I
Hmm.
was like, without even me really reading the leaks, I already knew. But as far as the actual character itself, I'm actually kind of like positive. I'm not like hyped. Like I'm not like, oh my god, this is. I'm not like oh my god, I've been wanting Sora from like day one. You know, like that. Sora was in my top 8, top 7, like most wanted and stuff like
Hmm.
that. I would have preferred Master Chief or Jonesy, but you know, whatever. This is fine. I actually thought it was really interesting that they withheld the results of the fighter ballot, and they were said, oh yeah, by the way, he actually won the fighter ballot. He was the most requested
Yeah.
character worldwide. I'm like, okay, cool. So it makes sense that they would have him last because he would. There is no one character that can please everyone, but he is the one character that can please the most. So
Right. Right.
yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
though.
It's so interesting that leading up to the direct, I saw a bunch of people either predicting Sora or asking for Sora, and I thought that was kind of interesting, just on social media, especially when it turned out to be true. So I was kind of suspicious. I didn't know any details about it, but I was suspicious that there was some kind of leak, as well, because I was like, damn, I like the Kingdom Hearts the Kingdom Hearts fans are clearly coming out of their caves right now, and that in the hopes of getting this character. It was a highly requested character. We all knew that, but I don't think many of us would have guessed that it was the number one most requested character many years ago. Which means that that was before a lot of other characters came to the game. That means that Sora was above Banjo Kazooie, for instance, right? That means that Sora was above any
Bayonetta.
character that has like any character that has come out since. And that's very interesting to think about. And it comes across like they've really been trying to get this character in for a long time, and it just took this long for them to, you know, be able to get it to work with all the different partners involved, right? Like Square Enix and Disney and Nintendo and etc. Um, but it's a win for the Kingdom Hearts fans. I also wanted to point out that I saw a lot of hate leading up to the direct. Very specifically, I saw a lot of people saying that they really wished it wasn't Sora, and I saw people saying that they were so excited for it not to be Sora, so that all the Kingdom Hearts fans could shut the fuck up, basically. Um,
Wow.
and
What part of the
dude,
internets do you browse by? Because everywhere I looked at, everyone was happy. Like the internet rejoiced.
that's the thing. All those people disappeared once the character was actually announced. I just mean that leading up to it, I saw multiple people with takes of like, "It better not be Sora" kind of thing. Um, so just let people enjoy what they enjoy. Kingdom Hearts is a big franchise that was not represented in the game yet. There's a lot of fans, a lot of people that love it. I believe Kingdom Hearts 3, which was the latest game to come out, number one, it's still relevant because it just came out a few years ago. Number two, it sold like 5 million copies or something. So I still consider it a strong, relevant franchise in the echelon of other franchises that are represented in Smash Brothers. So I think it deserves to be there. A lot of people have requested characters from franchises that are dead before, or franchises that we haven't seen a game from in 10, 20, 30 years or something. And that's fine because, if we got Duck Hunt and if we got Game and Watch, then we can get anything. But I think it's cool that I think it's a character that a lot of the people that are 15 to 30 today know and have it in their mind. So I think that's a cool thing too.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of people grew up with Sora and stuff like that. I mean, think about Sora's basically about to turn 20 years old in next year. So,
yeah.
yeah, like I just got to say that before on this announcement, the first thing they did was announce the Mii costumes, and then whenever they put Doomslayer has the Mii costume, and I'm like, damn, he just got deconfirmed. But at the same time, although you deconfirm Doomslayer, you also like, oh, they partnered with Microsoft. You know what I mean? Like thinking to myself, like,
Hmm.
oh my god, what if Master Chief is like the real shoe in, like that kind of thing. I'm also very
True.
disappointed that they only did the three Mii costumes. Usually they average 5 to 6 per drop.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a missed opportunity in my book.
I feel like this direct, I don't know if you'd call it that, but yeah, I think it is a direct still. It really show that they're wrapping up this game. They're getting done. I think at this point, I don't really see any hope for anything more coming to Smash Ultimate. This really felt like this is the end. This is like the bow at the end of that game. It's the best they could do. They've I think they've been slowing down development for a while now. Who knows? They might be looking into what the next project is, whether it is the next Smash or whether it's something else. I actually think it's probably something else. But that we got plenty of time to speculate about that. Lewis, I didn't really want to read your full article, even though I'd recommend people do it. Since you wrote it anyway, is there any highlights here that you want to point out?
Just really the end. Like
Hmm.
the end was like a very heartfelt goodbye where they gave stats at the very end, and they did that for Smash Wii U when Smash Wii U was ending its development cycle, where they gave
Hmm.
like the stats of how many stages and music and all this other stuff, and like how many games they played. And I thought that was like one of the most like realist part, like where it just sort of hit me. Where they were talking about they put the stats: 89 fighters, 116 stages, 201 items, 1,100 songs, almost 1,500 spirits, 2.2 billion hours played. The game was launched 2 billion times, 11.7 billion offline battles, 7.8 billion online battles with the shitty internet that they got going on, 90 billion KOs. I mean, that is crazy ass stats that can only be done with this
Hmm.
big monumental franchise. I felt like this is one of those kind of situations where like Sakurai can basically go down in the Mount Rushmore of best video game directors of all time kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
with him being able to handle so many franchises, so many characters, so many like people at the table that have like their wishes about, I'd imagine that some people have stipulation. He's working with whatever he's given, that kind of stuff. So creative and so good attention to detail and everything like that. But yeah, man, it was very like bittersweet. And I
Mm-hmm.
just got to say, whenever the ending happened and you got Sora and Mario shaking hands, and then it fades to red, the Nintendo logo, and the presentation ends, and I was just met with silence.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like in the, I just kind of sort of paused there for a moment and just, let it sink in. And that was
Yeah.
like the most, you know, heart wrenching thing
Yeah.
ever. Just that Smash Ultimate is over. Is how it feels like.
Right, right, and it will still be played for many years to come and everything. But yeah, the new content is most likely over, is what it seems like. And Sakurai, he's a real ass guy. I really like seeing him in these things. I don't often watch the full breakdowns and stuff because I'm not that into Smash as you are, for instance. But this time I made a point to do it because I this was the last one, so I wanted to and so much he has so much personality that comes through in these presentations. You can tell that he's really being himself. You can tell he really cares about this game, that he really cares about gaming in general. He'll go and he's not one of those execs out there that go in front of the camera and you can tell that you kind of question, like, do they even play games? Like, do they know what they're talking about? Sakurai knows what he's talking about. He's like, yeah, I've played all the Kingdom Hearts games and even like made fun of it a little bit, I think. Which, by the way, just to hit on a few final points here, this is all coming out on October 18th. You can get, Sora, the Kingdom Hearts stage, as well as the Mii costumes. Then on, um, we don't have a date for this yet, actually, but all the Kingdom Hearts games are coming to the Switch in the cloud format, though, which is kind of lame. I wish that we would have gotten at least the older ones in a cartridge or a digital download or something, but we're not getting that yet, at least. And then just one more thing here is that Nintendo announced that they're doing a 3-day tournament for Smash. That it will be titled Wing It and featured Wing It fighters such as Banjo Kazooie and Kid Icarus. I assume those are just the tournaments that they do all the time, but I saw this come up this week, so I just figured I'd throw it in since we're talking about Smash. Yeah, and this is it. This is the end of Smash Ultimate. Lewis, quick gut check. Why do you think Sakurai and Sora Ltd, which is his company, are gonna move on to next?
Honestly, I would want them to make a Kid Icarus Uprising sequel.
Oh, that would be
I
cool. That
want
would be
them to
cool.
do that. But honestly, to tell you the truth, I would like, as much as I know like how Sakurai had like, what do you call it? Physical ailments like getting sick during development and stuff like that, and like he hurt his wrist, all that stuff like that. I would just prefer if Sakurai just took like at least a 1 year vacation of just
Mhm.
sitting the fuck down and just drinking martinis
Right.
at a beach or something like that. Like that's what I would
He's earned
prefer.
it. He's
Yeah,
earned
he's
it.
earned it.
Yeah.
He's earned it. He's earned a sabbatical. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, let's hit up some of those other stories here. We got this one from VGC. Twitch leak company confirms hack and says it's working to understand. Twitch has confirmed that the enormous leak of data that took place earlier today is genuine. I believe this was reported today, so that actually happened the day of recording. The streaming website posted a message on its official Twitter account acknowledging that the site was indeed hacked and it was currently investigating the consequences of this. This was quite the week, Blue, as we had Facebook and all its services be off for like what felt like 6 hours the other day. And
yeah.
then all Twitch got hacked. And a lot of data has leaked from a lot of different streamers and stuff. You can actually go and find lists of the top earning streamers and how much money they earn. I'll leave it up to you if you want to go and look at that. Maybe we can comment a little bit on it. It is kind of like an intrusion of privacy, which I don't feel super comfortable with. But at the same time, the information is out there anyway. People will find it, people will see it. I feel like the cat's out of the bag at this point, so I also don't know
Well,
to
not to
which
mention
point.
like the subscriber numbers are public, so all you got to do is sort
Yeah.
of extrapolate from there, because you know how much a
So as
subscriber
much as
is worth.
Yeah, so as much as I don't really like that people, hacked and got this information and put it out there, now that it's out there, and we might as well comment on it. It's not like it's people's addresses, at least, as far as I can tell.
I don't really too
Um,
much care. I just don't really too much care about that information. I do care. Like I would like to know how much YouTube, how much YouTubers make on like a
Hmm.
per ad revenue kind of thing. Like that, I'm actually curious more so
Have
than
you
like I
have you
want to raise a pitchfork. I just want to know, you know.
have you seen the list by the way, Lewis, and seeing the top earning people and stuff?
No, I was just aware that this hack happened. Like I knew about the
Hmm.
hack, but I haven't seen the list.
So a list that I saw had how much money the streamers earned in a period of about 2 years. From it was August 2019 to October this year, so like 2 years and 2 months. And the number one earning streamer was the channel Critical Role, which you might know of. They stream Dungeons and Dragons. They basically do live Dungeons and Dragons games, and they're very good at it. I never actually really watched it, but I've seen a few clips. I think Laura Bailey is involved, and like all these like big name people are involved.
Yeah,
They
Will Wheaton.
made they made $10 million in 2 years, and they are the top earning. They are the top earning channel.
That seems
Now,
very weird because I would have thought somebody like Shroud or something like that would have been like a big name
nope.
like Ninja or someone like
Yeah,
that would be like the highest
Ninja
earning.
Ninja was number 46 in the list. Shroud was like number 25 or something like that. And surprisingly, here's the thing: there's a lot of people reacting to this and being like, "Oh my god, these streamers make so much money." My reaction is almost like the opposite because they do make a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. Compared to normal individuals like us, they make a shit ton of money, but they are not making millions a year. There's very few. There's like five streamers, most of which I didn't even know, that are making millions a year, and the majority of them are making something closer to like somewhere between 500K to a million a year is more or less what they're making, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure everybody, everybody listening to this podcast probably wishes they were making that much money. But when you're talking about the top, that like the cream of the crop off Twitch, I would have believed that they made a lot more than that.
Yeah,
Now, granted, this might be just subscriptions, and a lot of these people they probably have even more of the revenue that comes from other avenues like merch and everything else. But yeah, surprisingly, Critical Role, that's the number one.
did this data leak? Does it include like donations and stuff like that? Because or is it just purely sub numbers? Because that seems really weird. Because
I am not
I would have imagined like somebody
I am
like
not
Doctor
sure.
Disrespect would have topped the list or something like that.
I don't think I went through the whole top 100, and I don't think Doctor's Disrespect was even in the top 100, by the way. But
Holy
I
shit!
also remember some controversy about how he was banned or something, so I don't know if he's still
Mm,
I don't
yeah,
know if he's actually still on Twitch.
yeah, he
Let
was
me I
banned.
actually trying to find this on my phone so that I can bring some more data into this.
Well, while you're looking for that here, I'll go ahead and read the article. It says the user posted a 125 gigabyte torrent link to 4chan, stating that the leak was intended to foster more disruption and competition in the online video streaming space because their community is a disgusting, toxic cesspool. Holy shit!
Yeah.
VGC previously verified that the files mentioned on 4chan are publicly available to download, as described by the anonymous hacker. The leaked Twitch data reports the entirety of Twitch's source code, creator payout reports from 2019, proprietary SDKs and internal Amazon Web services used by Twitch, and more. By the way, if it was reports were coming from 2019, that would have been before Doctor Disrespect was banned, I think. So I'm surprised he wasn't
Mm.
on there.
Yeah, I think you're right. So the top 10, I'll give you the top 10, and I'll already tell you that I didn't know almost any of these people.
Okay.
Number one was Critical Role with 9.6 million earned on the 2 year period that I mentioned. Number two is just a bunch of letters. It is XQCOW, so like X
XQC.
cow.
XQC.
X. Oh, there we go. All right. He made $8.5 million over that time frame. The number three, Summit 1G, made 5.8 million. Number four is DFUE, made 5.3 million. Number five is somebody named Nick Merckx, made 5.1 million. Number six is Ludwig, made 3.3 million. Number
Ludwig.
seven is
Oh, nice.
number seven is Tim the Tatman, which I've heard of him, made 3.3 million. Number eight is Altuar, made 3.1 million. Number nine is Aaron Play, made 3.1 million. Number 10 is Lyric, all uppercase, made 3 million. Now, the next ones here that I know is Shroud, which you mentioned. He is number 25 on the list, and he made $2 million over 2 years. Then Dr. Lupo is number 31st. He made $1.9 million over 2 years. Then we got Pokimane. She's a girl streamer that I think I've seen like Leah Watch or something, and she made 1.5 million over the 2 years. And then Ninja is number 46 with 1.4 million. Bruce Green is number 49 with 1.3 million. This list is just the top 50. And yeah, Dr. Disrespect is not here. Um, I do want to point out another thing too that is interesting is that there we talked at some point we had like a topic of the show or something about like the bathtub streamers or something along those lines. And I feel like a lot of people would have expected there to be a lot more of those in the top 100 earners, but there actually wasn't. There were maybe like two or three of them, and the majority of the top 100 are actually dudes. So do what you want with that information. It basically just means if you think they're taking over Twitch, not really. There's a few that make that, that have huge followings, and then there's a bunch that maybe are trying to do it, not really um, hitting the top 100 at least.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. All right. So on to our next story here. Konami is set to revive Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hill, as reported by Andy Robinson for VGC. Konami is set to ramp up its premium game development with new installments and remakes for its biggest franchises, including Metal Gear and Castlevania. That's according to publishing sources who spoke to VGC anonymously because they did not have permission to discuss their projects publicly. Konami's premium games output has slowed down significantly in recent years. The last new Metal Gear game was 2018's critically panned Metal Gear Survive, while the last mainline Castlevania release was 2014's Lord of Shadow 2. In the past decade, the company has arguably grown a bigger reputation for its pachinko gambling games than for its premium PC and console releases. However, following a restructure, it looks like they're now focused on bringing back its biggest brands to the premium game space. VGC was stoned. So yeah, Konami is apparently coming back. I think there's been some ramblings about this in the industry over the past year. I think we heard about them coming back to shows that they did not have a presence in anymore. I think at some point we covered that they were coming back to E3 and then they pulled out last minute or something. So it's kind of interesting that they're making some moves again. What do you think of this, Louis? You're excited?
I think it makes sense because one of the things about like a franchise care is, you're only as good as your last hit. Like, what have you done for me lately, kind of thing. And I think if you are trying to make pachinko machines with the branding of like Metal Gear Solid or Castlevania or whatever, if you're not putting out any new games and stuff like that, then the value of that IP will drop over time, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it will have a floor. Don't get me wrong. I think there's always gonna have like some value, but like I think when you talk about like new young kids that may not go back, like their elementary school, they're not gonna know what a Bomberman is, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, 100%, 100%. I think there's probably plenty of people growing up now that they have never played a Metal Gear game or have definitely never played a Castlevania game, and I think it's important to keep franchises relevant. Nintendo is so good at doing this. Obviously there are some franchises that they left in the past, but think about how Metroid Dread is coming out this week or just came out actually, and for a lot of people out there, that might be their first Metroid game, and they might become a Metroid fan after that and pursue the older games and try to play other stuff. And Breath of the Wild might have been a lot of kids' first Zelda game, and Super Mario Odyssey might have been a lot of kids' first Mario game, and all that stuff. So,
yep.
if you want your relevance, if you want your franchises to be worth something and remain relevant, you got to keep putting out stuff. So I'm glad to see Konami getting back in the game.
No pun intended.
And then I'm actually kind of gonna somehow group these next two stories together, and then we can comment on them as we wish. So the first one, I have a Push Square article here. Sony introduces game trials. Try PS5 games for a limited time. So basically, PlayStation is gonna start making game trials available for their game, where you can go and play Death Stranding Director's Cut or Sackboy: A Big Adventure for a certain amount of hours before they for free of charge before you decide if you actually want to buy the game or not. And then we got also an Xbox update that's in the works where they're planning to add the feature for you to be able to see your game time. So these are both stories that could really be extra news in any given week. There wasn't too much this week, so I brought them in as topics of discussion. Um, but I'm just gonna go to you, Lewis. What do you have anything to comment on those two stories?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, like the Wii U was ahead of its time.
Oh
Whenever
yeah,
it
with the
has
game time.
game time, like, and it has
Yeah,
everything, like it's got charts and stuff within like the system where you can see
yeah.
like a bar graph or like a line graph. You can see the individual dates. You can see the time you play by software. Like how like I honestly think that it should be standard when it comes to like
Me too.
the Wii did it.
Nintendo
Yeah.
Nintendo is very good at that. The Wii did it in an interesting way actually, because like the Wii, I think you would get like these messages. You had like this message area on the Wii, and you get messages like, "Oh, like here's your game time for this or that or whatever," and you could go through it like in a calendar. The Wii U got a really good system going. The 3DS as well. The 3DS actually has a pretty good kind of like game data stats app that where you can go through and see like the game you played the most for each given month of the year
Yeah.
or for the whole year and stuff like that. And I also think that should be a standard. I find it pretty ridiculous that in the year of our Lord 2021, you can still not just see your game time. There's no like OS side solution to seeing your game time on the PlayStation or Xbox consoles. So I'm glad to finally see that come to Xbox, and I hope it also makes its way to PlayStation at some point because I really like knowing how long I've played a game for, and all games implement that on the softer side. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
agreed,
definitely.
agreed. I think it should happen. As far as like the game demo side of things, like honestly, like when I grew up at a time whenever like you could get demo discs, and demos have sort of kind of like gone the way whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what the phrase is, the way of the blah, the way of the dinosaur. Let's just go with that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
I
go for it.
We have a little bit of a delay, unfortunately. But I think I remember I once heard a developer say that a demo helped their game tank because so many people played the demo and then did not want to buy the game and they liked it. They were like, "Oh, I love this. The demo is great," but they felt like they got enough, like their fill from the demo to where they were comfortable enough to just like continuing to play the demo on repeat and never actually bought the full game. So maybe that demo was like too good for its own detriment or something. But I feel like that might be part of why we started seeing less demos. I think developers just kind of wanted to push people to actually go and buy the game if you want to play the game. We're seeing a little bit of a resurgence on demos now, so I think we're coming around to it again because we are like I see it pretty often on the Switch. I feel like a lot of Switch games get demos.
So I think Nintendo got it right on the Wii U, especially like on the Wii U generation. You can only launch a
Mm-hmm.
demo 30 times before it's disabled. So you gotta like
Mm.
sort of like there's a limit to how many times you can launch it and stuff. And mostly with demos, it's usually like the first level or it's like a certain like gatekeep, like a
Yeah,
cutoff. So it's like, yeah, I think a demo is good to like make an informed decision about try before you buy kind of thing like that. I think that's
I
cool. And
have
there's always like you always hear a story about somebody who bought a game because of a demo. So
I have a story like that, and I'm not gonna make it long because it doesn't need to be. But Fire Emblem Awakening, there was a demo for that. I downloaded the demo. I had never played a Fire Emblem game before, so I wasn't ready to go and drop the $40 on this game that I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna like or not. Um, and then I played the demo on the 3DS, and the demo got you through a few of the early chapters of the game, and then it just kind of cut off at a certain point and it was enough to hook me where I was like, dude, I actually really want to keep playing this game. I want to see what happens next. And then I actually went out and bought the game. So there's a situation where the demo actually worked and made me buy a game.
there you go.
Yeah. All right. So let's up our extra news here today. Number one, Konami has announced a contest that asks small indie developers to make games based on its classic series, including Gradius, Gambar Goemon, and many more. I probably butchered that name there, and this kind of complements the other story that we just read. Number two, a former director of Nintendo's Retro Studios has revealed the developer's scrapped plans for a fully open world Metroid Prime game. That would have been crazy.
Those
Number three,
bastards.
Square Enix will release an offline version of MMO Dragon Quest X in February, although it's Japan only for now.
Hmm.
Number four, Xbox is adding accessibility tags to its digital store to help players with disabilities tell whether a game is suitable for them. Number
Yeah.
five, promotional retail materials for an upcoming 512 gigabyte Seagate expansion card for Series X and S have reportedly been spotted. Number 6, Capcom says it will make PC its main platform going forward. The publisher wants PC to make up half of its sales within the next few years. Number 7, former PlayStation executive Sean Layden. He sure doesn't shut up anymore. I feel like he's always like every week there's like, oh, Sean Layden said this or said that. But this time he said that he doesn't think the company will ever launch its games for console and PC simultaneously. And it goes into a little bit of detail of why that is and their plan while he was still there. Number 8, New World, which is Amazon's new PC MMO, continues to soar to new heights, having passed over 900,000 concurrent players on Steam this week. Number 9, Twitch has begun testing a new paid boost feature on the streaming platform, which allows viewers to pull free channel points to boost the streamer to the front page slot. Number 10, the Epic Game Store is finally getting an unified achievement system. Number 11, Sony announced that from October 27, I got an email about this actually. Users can no longer use PayPal, credit cards, or debit cards to purchase digital content or add funds to their wallet on the PlayStation Store on PS3 or PlayStation Vita systems. Number 12, a report claims that the new dock included with the Switch OLED can output at 4K and 60 frames per second. Number 13, the Pokemon Company and Universal Studios Japan have announced a new collaborative partnership between the two entertainment leaders. And the roundup, the Wii game A Boy and His Blob is coming to the Switch later this fall. A game called Wanted Dead is coming to the PlayStation 5 and is directed by Ninja Gaiden director Hiroaki Matsui, coming in 2022. And Ubisoft has announced Ghost Recon Frontline, a new Battle Royale shooter. Lewis, take it away.
God, there's so much to talk about here. This is actually this is one of the times where actually Extra News actually has some stuff to talk about. Let me just start off with the very first thing that caught my attention here was the Twitch offering like the paid boost thing. That's the dumb. That is like not gonna work in my opinion. It's like how do I put this? It's a situation that only gonna work for people who already have an audience to get boosted.
I know. You know what I mean? I agree with you. Because basically the audience is going to have to use the points to boost you. So for you to be able to do that, you need to have a pretty... You know what I think this is going to help, actually? I think this is going to help the kind of funnies of the world where they do have a very dedicated audience, but that is actually not a very large audience in the grand scheme of things. Like, Kind of Funny doesn't have an audience large enough to be in the top, like the top channels on Twitch. But if they can get Greg Miller goes and starts like a little movement for a week to get everybody in there and put Kind of Funny in the front page, that they would be able to pull that off. But I agree, this doesn't really help the little guy. Right?
Yeah,
on
and
Twitch,
they're trying to make it. I think they're trying to spin it like PR wise that it does, but it's just the rich getting richer.
Yeah,
that's all it is. As far as the Epic Game Store, it's finally getting a unified achievement system. I think it's really interesting that it took this long. Like the Epic Games launcher has been around for what? How many years? 2, maybe 3 years already.
Yeah, we've been covering it since we started the podcast. So,
well, it's been around since before that, but like I just got to say that Steam has had it for like such a long time. It's whatever, and also the PlayStation 3 Vita situation. They're just getting ready. They're getting ready to close the store down, and they're gonna do it in like they're not announcing that they're closing the store because they don't want to like blindside us and make us all mad.
Yep.
So instead, you just handicap us by like making it so that we can't buy digital goods anymore or whatever. So that way we don't care. When it's like, oh well, it's like when they announce it, it's like, oh well, I couldn't buy things anyways.
Yeah. So the way this is gonna work is I kind of did some reading into this because I was curious. Like, oh, is it time that I do that I was gonna do earlier in the year? And then they remember like they were gonna end the stores earlier in the year, and then they backpedaled on that. I was getting prepared to go and spend a bunch of money on PS3 and PS Vita games that I don't need. Well, it turns out we actually don't need to do that yet because on October 27th, you will no longer be able to add funds on the platforms, but you're still able to do it via browser. So you will still be able to like go and add funds on the PlayStation Store on like the website, and then you're gonna have to add funds and then go to the PS3 because you can't buy the PS3 games from web browser anymore either. So you're gonna have to add funds on your web browser and then go and buy with the funds that are already there on your PS3. And I agree with you. They're just gonna slowly, add more impediments until they're just closing the store for reals probably next year.
Just another thing here, the 512 gigabyte SSD. That's just dumb. Like I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, not to say
I
that
totally
it's.
disagree with you.
I mean, how do I put this? Of course, lower price, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
In my opinion, you go higher. I think 1 terabyte is the minimum, right? With
Right.
with Xbox Series X and stuff like that, and how big these file sizes are between like Call of Duty being 200 gigabytes and stuff like that. I think, in my opinion, you make a 2 terabyte card instead of first before you put out a 512 gigabyte card. In my opinion,
Hmm.
so
I remember when the 1 terabyte one, the one that's already out, came out, that one of the complaints is that it was too expensive, and I did not buy it, and I was not interested in buying it. But if they have a 512 that is cheap enough, I will consider it. Like I could see myself buying it because I could use the extra space. And I'm cheap like that, where I'll go like, I can make do with 512, So I'll go with the cheaper option. So I think there is a market for it, but we'll see. I think they should just give us a bunch of options. Like just
yeah,
give us like, you know, give us 256, 512, 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes. Like just
yes,
give us everything. That's
I
the way
agree with
I look
that.
at it.
But yeah,
You
like I
know,
said, order of operations, I would have gotten bigger first. And as far as the Capcom, I think Capcom. I don't know what kind of world they're living in, but there is no way that PC is going to be its main platform going forward.
they'll only. I mean, they wouldn't just make that decision out of the blue. If they're saying this, it's probably because they're seeing that they're getting better sales. Like with multi-platform releases, they're probably getting better sales on PC, and somebody out there is being like, "Yo, we gotta focus on that platform, man. It's where we're selling." I don't know. That's my guess. But yeah, well, excited to see the Pokemon theme park that we're inevitably going to get now that the Pokemon Company and Universal are partnering up as well. I it's funny to think like we already got the Mario area where they're building the Donkey Kong area, and perhaps there'll be a Pokemon area in a few years. Like, where's the mummy gonna go? What I mean? Like, where's the old Universal stuff? Like, is there still gonna be space for everything? Is what I keep wondering. Um, at this point, they might as well have just made a Nintendo, like a full Nintendo park. Is what I'm getting to.
One last thing.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. If you're done with your story, I was going to bring up the number 12.
yeah, go for it.
I don't. The Switch OLED has been out to reviewers, like to early people, like your IGNs and your
Hmm.
YouTubers, like Game Explain, et cetera, et cetera. And they've already put out the review for the OLED Switch, by the way, because the embargo lifted. So I would be surprised that if that report is true about it being able to output 4K 60.
My guess is that I didn't look into it, so we can look into it later and talk about it offline. But my guess is that it has something to do with the capability is there, but it's locked, like it's not functional or something like. I think that's what that means.
Hmm.
Um, for whatever reason. Anyway, Lewis, that's what I had here for our stories today. Sorry everybody if we're speeding up the show too much, but like I said, we don't have a lot of time tonight. So I'm gonna give it to Lewis to take us home with the final few segments.
What are you buying?
Honestly, this is probably like for the better, as I would have gone on and on about SpongeBob and Nickelodeon, and also I probably would have talked more about Sora. So yeah, that being said, new releases. So there's a My Nintendo Metroid Dread sweepstakes going on here. So let's take a look at this here. Uh, Not gonna see. I gotta ask you, Dan. Can you TLDR? This is a lot going on here as far as merch. It looks like some
Yeah.
some
So
stickers
you
and
can
stuff.
find this. You can find this on the Nintendo website. Obviously, one of the big new release this week that Lewis is gonna read a blurb about later is Metroid Dread. But Nintendo is going all out with extra shit that you can get through the My Nintendo service with your coins and etc. Good old Club Nintendo style. And there's also sweepstakes that you can participate on to get special jackets and a custom controller and all sorts of shit. So if you're a big Metroid nerd and you wanna get into this, then you might wanna search this. Just search, Metroid Nintendo sweepstakes, and you're gonna see what's up there. All sorts of things that you can get.
Yeah, it looks like you got to redeem 10 My Nintendo Platinum points to enter, and that's up to 3 entries total. 10 lucky winners will be picked. So that way you can get like some merch. Looks like I see like a Switch carrying case with like a PowerA controller that's got like Metroid all over it, like some swag. So there you go. Interesting, interesting, interesting. All right. So actual new releases, we got Doki Doki Literature Club coming out on the Switch. I'm sorry, the PS5, the Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Out on October 8th. Next up is Metroid Dread. It is out on the Switch, comes out October 8th. It says, join bounty hunter Samus Aran, I believe that's actually how you should say it. Samus Aran as she tries to escape a deadly alien world plagued by a mechanical menace. Upon investigating a mysterious transmission on planet ZDR, Samus faces a mysterious foe that traps her in this dangerous world. The remote planet has been overrun by vicious alien life forms and murderous robots called Emmy. Hunt or be hunted as you make your way through a labyrinth of enemies in Samus's most intense side-scrolling adventure yet. Next up, we have Tetris Connected on the Switch on October 8th. And next up is Back for Blood on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on October 12th. Back for Blood is a thrilling cooperative first-person shooter from the creators of the critically acclaimed Left 4 Dead franchise. Experience the intense four-player co-op narrative campaign, competitive multiplayer as human or ridden, and frenetic gameplay that keeps you in the action.
That's how they call the zombies in that game. They call them ridden. You know how they do that thing where they don't like to say zombies, so they're infected in The Last of Us, or they're freakers on Days Gone,
walkers in Walking Dead.
Yeah, etc. So.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. Let me ask you this because, you know what? I'll ask you this later. Okay, let me go ahead and keep it moving. Disco Elysium, the final cut, is out on the Xbox Series, Xbox One, and the Switch on October 12th. And next up is Monster Crown. It is PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Next up is Ori the Collection on the Switch. And next up is Slender the Arrival. And that is going to be on iOS and Android on October 13th. And October 14th, we got Dungeon Encounters. And that's PS4, Switch, PC. Next up is the Jackbox Party Pack 8, PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC on October 14th. I'm guessing that's like an actual new Jackbox games with all those platforms instead of it being a port or something like that. And finally, we have the Rift Breaker on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC, October 14th. Dan, what I was going to ask you is about Pick of the Week, because obviously Pick of the Week is going to be Metroid Dread, but with Back 4 Blood being the thing that we played for our stream last year where we played Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead.
So what do you think? What is which one gets our attention first?
Well, this is tough. Number one, I want to say this is a pretty good week because we also got a lot of cool games coming to new platforms. You know, Tetris Effect coming to the Switch, Disco Elysium getting a final cut on next gen Xbox and Switch and other things, and Ori Collection on the Switch, and a new Jackbox game, which Jackbox is always fun. But really, it comes down to the really new releases that most of us are waiting for, which is Metroid Dread on the Switch and Back 4 Blood, like you said. And dude, I'm so excited to play both of these games. These are two of the most anticipated games that I've been waiting for this year. And I don't know if I'm going to have time, at least not right away. But I really want to go and pick up Metroid Dread. I really want to go and check out Back 4 Blood, which is on Game Pass, by the way. I want to play that with you. I want to play that with some other friends that I used to play Left 4 Dead with. So I'm very excited for both. If I had to pick one right now, I'm gonna give it to Metroid. I really want that Metroid. I want to, I played Samus Returns again earlier this year. I beat it. That was a good time. That was on the 3DS, and I just kept wishing this game should be on the Switch. Well, now we got one on the Switch, so I really want to check it out.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I think Metroid Dread is going to be the bigger one because it's I believe it's going to sort of end the story that's been promised, the story, the lore of that. If Metroid Fusion ended in a cliffhanger, then there we go. We're gonna finally get to know something or whatever. So, not to say I've only played Super Metroid. I'm gonna buy Metroid Dread this week. I'll keep it in the shrink wrap next to Samus Returns on the 3DS.
No, shut up. You're gonna play it. You're gonna play this game, and you're gonna talk to me about it. I'm gonna make you play it.
We got to. If it's an assignment, then we'll have to do a spoiler cast.
I will go to Texas if I have to. I will go to Texas for the first time and see you for the first time so that I can make you play this game.
You'd be like, all right, fair enough. We'll go ahead and keep it moving to the next bit.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
All right, so the Broke Gamers Guide is very short and sweet this week. As always, we always do the Epic Game Store. We talked about last week how Europa Universalis 4 is the free game of the week. God, it's so terrible. Okay, let's wait. Hold on. Whoa,
you know what's funny? It's Wednesday, Lewis. We're recording this early, so I think the game hasn't updated yet.
Yes,
right?
You're right. I was like, wait a minute. We talked about this. All right. So the free game of the week is actually PC Building Simulator. That's the free game of the week, actually. So let's go ahead and read the blurb on this one. And unfortunately, since we're recording early, we don't get to see what's actually free next week, allegedly. So there it is. Build and grow your very own computer repair enterprise as you learn to diagnose, fix, and build PCs with real-world licensed components and comprehensive hardware and software simulation. You can plan and bring your ultimate PC to life. Okay. Interesting.
You made fun of this game last week, but I actually it seems interesting to me. I feel like it would be a good way to before you've built your first PC to experiment with it and see what the experience is like before you actually do it.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. It's almost kind of like a teaching tool almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
All right, next up. The Last of Us 2 joins PS Now alongside Fallout 76, Final Fantasy 8, and more. Okay, that's cool. It says update. Sony has confirmed the PS Now lineup for October 2021. All right, it includes The Last of Us Part 2, as previously rumored. All right, so that's interesting. The Last of Us Part 2, PS Now, it's basically poor man's Game Pass for PlayStation, and whatever. I don't care.
It's slowly getting better, but yeah.
It's only going to be available until January 3rd. That sucks. Those bastards. All right, next up is the Xbox Game Pass for October 2021. Includes 8 games so far, so we got to see the little blurb here. It says we got Back for Blood. Let's see. It says tabs. It says, I can't read this whole thing here. Where's it at? Oh, yeah. Totally accurate battle simulator. That's tabs. That's interesting.
I've heard of this game, and this sounds actually really fun. This is, where people will go and in real life, they'll put on outfits and fight each other, pretend to fight each other like they're medieval characters or something. I think it's called LARPing.
Yes.
Right? I if this is what I'm thinking, I think this is a game where it's simulating that, but in a game, which is kind of a fun concept on itself. But yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, that's going to be out on October 5th, cloud, console, and PC. October 12th is Back for Blood, which is the release date for console, cloud, PC. Destiny 2 Beyond Light for PC. I'm just sort of skipping around here. These games, I'm not going to lie, not really say I'm going to heard of them and stuff like that. Is there any game in here in this lineup that you actually heard of?
No, it looks like a bunch of indie games, and Back for Blood is the big hitter. I think we're getting to a cadence now where I think Game Pass every month is going to have 1 or 2 big hitters and then a bunch of indies. But I don't think that's necessarily bad. I mean, you can't make time to play that many games anyway, right?
True.
There's already so much stuff in there. So yeah, cool. And some of the games leaving, Tales of Vesperia HD is leaving console and PC, and Katana Zero is leaving cloud, console, and PC. Those are 2 of the ones that I know.
Yeah, I was actually about to shout those 2 out because they're the only 2 that I knew on this list. But yeah, I had it up on screen so you guys could read it if you guys cared. But yeah, that's going to be it for Broke Gamers Guide. And I'm going to pass it back over to you, Dan. But actually, you know what? Before I pass it over to you, I'll just go ahead and just say it right now. Since we didn't do our usual hour-and-a-half show, I'll go ahead and just reveal the results of the gameplay and see who won between Mario and Luigi, because I'm assuming that whoever's in the lead is going to win the match. So let's see. Oh my God. It is It is it's a skunking here because Luigi's beating the shit out of Mario. 45 stocks to 28. I'm sorry, to 27 now.
Dang. That's crazy.
Yeah, Luigi's the winner. There you go.
Good job, Luigi.
All right, here we go.
Well, it is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another, this time shorter episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at readyplaynetwork.com or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at the Dan Lima and Lewis.
At Chocolaka88.
That's right. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.
Peace.